Some stories don't begin in darkness, they begin in daylight, with hope in hand. But when hunger knocks and the lights dim, even the brightest minds can lose their way. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that matter. This is the story of Amara Jones, the girl who traded her books for a nightclub and woke up in the ICU. The sun beat down on the cracked earth of Elmwood County, Mississippi, where Amara Jones ran barefoot across the farmyard, clutching a worn-out textbook like it was made of gold. She was 17, brilliant and hungry not for food, but for a life beyond her zip code. Her mother, Deborah Jones, wiped sweat from her forehead as she watched Amara from the porch. "You keep reading like that, you're gonna set that book on fire," she teased, but pride shimmered in her tired eyes. Amara grinned. "Then maybe it'll light the way out of here." Everyone in town called her the girl with a future. Her teachers said she was Ivy League material. She'd never made a B in her life. They didn't see the flickering light bulbs in her house. They didn't know the only internet she had was the local library 2 towns over. But Amara knew, and she fought it every single day with ink and sweat and the belief that she could win. Her dream was simple escape, not in the bitter way most teenagers meant it. She loved her mama. She loved her little sister Naomi. But she also knew that dreams didn't bloom in soil this dry. So when the University of Atlanta emailed her that spring with a full academic scholarship, and Amara stood frozen in front of her cracked phone screen for nearly 5 minutes. She had gotten in, full ride, tuition, housing, even a laptop. Her mama screamed so loud the neighbors thought someone had died. They hadn't. Someone had just started living. That fall, they drove all night to Georgia in a borrowed van from their church. No air conditioning. A bag of boiled eggs and peanut butter sandwiches. Deborah held her daughter's hand the entire way. "Don't let this place change who you are, baby," she whispered. Amara nodded. She promised. Amara's first steps onto campus felt like a movie set. Towering dorms, students with Starbucks cups, laughter echoing across marble courtyards. It was another universe. Her dorm room was on the 3rd floor, room 312B. 2 girls were already there, dressed like they'd stepped out of a music video. The one in a designer crop top raised her lashes lazily. "You the new roommate?" Amara smiled nervously. "Yeah, I'm Amara. I'm Tiana." "That's Mia," the other said, sipping from a champagne bottle like it was apple juice. They barely looked up. Amara unpacked quietly. Her things fit into a single drawer. Her bed sheets were secondhand, her suitcase faded. By comparison, their side of the room looked like a set from a luxury lifestyle blog ring. Lights, acrylic nail kits, expensive perfumes lined up like trophies. Still, Amara didn't mind. She was here to study. She hit the library by 7 a.m., sat in the front row of every class, and submitted assignments a week early. Her professors adored her. Her grades soared. But something else started to happen, something small, then loud. Tiana and Mia were always going out. Weeknights, weekends, clubs, lounges, hotel parties. "Girl, you hit them books like they gonna marry you." Tiana laughed one night, slipping on 6-inch heels. Mia winked. "You ever want real money, come with us? Books don't pay rent." Amara laughed it off, but deep down, she noticed things. They didn't have jobs, yet they had designer bags, iPhones, Uber rides everywhere. And every Friday, like clockwork, thick envelopes slid into their drawers. She didn't ask, and they didn't explain. But that fall, Amara's meal plan ran out. She had $27 in her bank account. Her mom hadn't called in 2 weeks. The phone line had probably been cut again. She started skipping dinner, then lunch, then breakfast too. In class, her stomach growled louder than the lectures. She tried not to care. But hunger has a voice, and it never whispers. One evening, Amara came back to the dorm and found a plastic bag on her bed. Inside, fried chicken jollof rice, bottled juice. A sticky note on top read, "Eat something, brainiac." Tiana Amara stared at it for a long time. Then she cried as she ate. She told herself it was just a favor, just kindness. But when Tiana smiled at her the next day and said, "Come out with us Friday night," just once Amara didn't say no. She didn't say yes either. But in that silence, something shifted. Friday came faster than she expected. The sun dipped low behind the dorms as Tiana tossed a sparkly dress onto Amara's bed. "Try this on. You've got legs for days, might as well use them." Amara hesitated, staring at the thin straps, the glittering fabric that barely qualified as a dress. No worries. Mia's got backup. You'll feel like a goddess." 10 minutes later, Amara stood before the mirror in a fitted maroon mini dress, fake lashes brushing her eyelids, lips painted blood red. Her reflection didn't look like her. She looked expensive, confident, untouchable, and that scared her. "Girl, you could shut down a club with that face," Mia laughed. "Let's go turn some heads." Music pumped from the driver's speakers. Amara sat quietly, hands trembling on her lap, heart racing louder than the bass. Outside the nightclub, a line of students wrapped around the building, but Tiana waved at the bouncer like an old friend. They walked straight in. Inside, lights like fireflies, music like thunder, bodies everywhere dancing, shouting, laughing, grinding. "Don't look so nervous," Mia shouted in her ear. "This is where the real college experience starts." A man at the bar whistled. Another slipped Tiana a wad of cash just for a smile, and Amara stood frozen. Tiana handed her a tall drink with a pink straw. "Loosen up, babe. It's just one night." Amara took a sip, then another. Within an hour, the floor felt softer. The music didn't seem as loud. She laughed at a joke she didn't understand. A man in his 30s, gold chain, soft accent leaned in. "You dance like trouble." "I'm not trouble." Amara smiled. "Good. I like safe girls." He bought her a second drink, and then a third. His name was Benson. He said he worked in finance. He said he liked her eyes. She didn't remember agreeing to leave with him. But the next thing she knew, they were in a car, then a hallway, then a hotel room. She sat on the edge of the bed, hands folded, staring at the minibar, staring at her shoes. "This is just a conversation," she told herself. "Just survive the night." She peeled off the borrowed dress, scrubbed herself in the shower until her skin turned red, then crawled into bed and stared at the ceiling for 3 straight hours. Tiana placed an envelope beside her pillow. Inside, $500, more than her mother made in a month. She didn't say thank you. She just lay there numb. The next weekend she said no. The weekend after that, she didn't. It was always just one more time. Always just this bill. Always just until finals. But soon, it wasn't just weekends. It wasn't just drinks. It became a routine. Tuesday night, a rooftop bar. Thursday night, a VIP lounge. Sunday afternoon, a hotel brunch with a real estate developer twice her age. She stopped calling home. Her grades slipped. She stopped attending her early classes altogether. But her closet grew. Her skin glowed. People started whispering her name in the dorm hallways, not for her GPA anymore, but for her outfits, her nails, her perfume. Amara Jones had become someone else. One night, while fixing her curls in the mirror, she caught her reflection again. For a second, it frightened her. She looked nothing like the girl who once studied by candlelight, the girl who had cried over a scholarship email, the girl whose mother once said, "Don't let this place change you." But it was too late. The girl in the mirror was already gone. The night it all shattered began like any other. The heels were higher. The dress was tighter. The drink stronger. Amara had barely eaten that day. A fruit bar and coffee. But she told herself she was fine. Just another Friday. Just another client. Tonight's man was older, well-dressed. He called her princess and handed her a thick wad of bills before even ordering a drink. His friends joined, 3 of them. She didn't ask questions. She just smiled. She laughed. Because that's what survival looked like now, a perfect smile with a broken heart behind it. By midnight, the room spun. She remembered hands, cologne, voices, then nothing. She woke up somewhere between pain and confusion, a white ceiling, an IV drip, a dull ache between her ribs, blood on her sheets. She tried to sit up, screamed. The nurse came running. So did Tiana. Her voice shook. "Amara, don't move. You've been out for 2 days. Where am I, ICU? They rushed you from the campus clinic. You collapsed in the hallway?" Tiana looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Your liver," she whispered. It's not good." Amara blinked. "What, you've been drinking too much?" Pills too. Stress. Malnourishment. The doctor said if you hadn't gotten here when you did. Her voice broke. We almost lost you. A woman stood there, frail, shaking. Amara's heart clenched. Mama Deborah rushed to the bed, held her daughter like a child, like the last time she'd seen her standing in a maroon dress, waving from a dorm room window. My baby. My baby. I'm sorry, Amara sobbed. I didn't mean for this. I know, her mother whispered. I know. Behind her stood Amara's father, silent. Tears rolled down his face. He didn't speak, but his presence said everything. The bills were over $3,000. They didn't have it. Her father sold their old pickup. Her mother sold her wedding ring. They borrowed. They begged, not to save a reputation, but to save their daughter. Amara watched them from her hospital bed, two people with nothing left, still willing to give everything. She hated herself for it. On the third day, the doctor came in quietly. She's stable, but fragile. No more drinking, no more pressure. She'll need rest time therapy. And love? Amara couldn't meet her mother's eyes. Why didn't you tell us? Deborah asked softly. I didn't want you to worry. We would have rather worried than almost buried you. That night, Amara stared at the ceiling, not in pain, but in shame. A week later, they took her home, not to Atlanta, but to Mississippi, to the house with the leaky roof, the cracked linoleum floor, the tiny kitchen where her sister Naomi stirred soup like nothing had changed, except everything had. Amara sat on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, staring into the fields. I had a dream, she whispered to her mom, and I killed it. No, Deborah said. You forgot it, but it's still there. Amara cried again, but this time it wasn't from pain. It was from relief, because for the first time in a long time, she felt human again. Autumn faded into winter, then winter into spring, and with every sunrise, Amara found pieces of herself again. She didn't wear makeup anymore. She didn't straighten her hair. She tied it back in a scarf, wore faded jeans, and helped her mother tend the tomato vines behind the house. She fetched water from the well, read books borrowed from the church. Sometimes she just sat under the oak tree and watched Naomi chase butterflies barefoot like they both used to. At night, she still dreamed of the nightclub, of Benson's hands, of the envelope of money on her pillow. She'd wake up in cold sweats, but her mother would be there, sitting silently by the window, whispering prayers. One morning, Amara was hanging clothes on the line when her father returned from the post office. He handed her a thin envelope. No return address, just the university seal. She opened it with trembling fingers. Notice of deferred enrollment. We understand life circumstances. Your scholarship remains valid through the next academic year. Amara couldn't speak. She handed the letter to her mother, who read it twice, then said quietly, Do you still want to go back? Amara blinked. I don't deserve to. Her father stepped onto the porch, his hands rough from labor. We gave everything to get you there, he said. And we would again, not so you could be perfect, but so you could become who you were meant to be. Amara cried in her father's arms, longer than she ever had before. That summer, she worked at the local bakery, saved every cent, bought used books online, volunteered at the town library, tutoring younger girls in math and writing. She didn't talk about what happened, but people whispered, and when someone whispered too loud, she looked them in the eye and said, I got lost, but I'm back. Most didn't understand, but a few nodded. A few knew that getting lost was easier than people thought. In the fall, Amara packed a second-hand backpack. Her shoes were worn, her clothes simple, but her eyes were sharp again. As she stepped onto campus, something felt different. This time she wasn't trying to fit in. She wasn't trying to impress. She wasn't looking for a shortcut out of poverty. She was looking for meaning. Room 3112B had new girls now. They barely looked up when she entered to grab the last of her things. But one girl asked, Hey, you used to stay here, right? Amara nodded. You look familiar. Amara smiled softly. I used to be, but not anymore. Books in her arm, hope in her step, dignity in her silence. No high heels, no perfume, no envelope of cash, just a girl who once forgot who she was, but now remembered. Did this story move you? Then make sure to subscribe, give it a like, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. More powerful and emotional stories are coming your way every week.